Ladies and gentlemen, Tal the Traveling Cloud, your favorite Zionist prince, Zionizing the world, here to cover more of this craziness between Israel and Iran. And today, in Iran's bid to free Palestine, they have fired at none other but a mosque. Don't know how that frees Palestine, but we've got here an update on WhatsApp. Pgia meduyeket in Hebrew. It says direct hit. Ha'iranim pagu b'malach ha'metach b'masjid al-grina b'Haifa. The Iranians have hit masjid, mosque known as Al-Grina in Haifa. Bo shahu bo'oto zman anshe dat b'chirim, where important religious figures were standing at the same moment were inside of the mosque. So let's get right into everything right here. Let's make sure this is on Chrome and not showing you my folders. Minister Sal shares footage of mosque hit in Haifa attack, religious figures injured. Following the barrage from Iran, Foreign Minister Gideon Sal shared a video on his X account showing damage caused to a mosque in Haifa. Along with the footage, Sal wrote, the Iranian regime launched a missile attack on Haifa and hit the Al-Jarina mosque in the Wadi Nisnas neighborhood. Muslim religious figures who were in the mosque were injured in the attack. The Iranian regime targets Muslim, Christian, Jewish civilians, and civilian sites. These are war crimes, yet nobody gives a god diggity dang. Do they not show the footage? That's kind of lame. Well, I do have the footage here on Twitter from Gideon Sal. This is coming from Dr. Eli David. A mosque in Haifa was damaged by an Iranian missile.
طبش كل الجامع، طبش كل الجامع. الجامع اتطحن. الشبابيك اتكسروا. طلعوا الشبابيك، طلعوا. كل الشبابيك اتطحنت. اللي الله بحبكم ما حداش كان هون، ابوي كان هون، تعور راسي.
This is how indeed you free Palestine, ladies and gentlemen. You hit mosques indiscriminately. But again, you can see the losing side is always the side that is indiscriminately firing only at civilian infrastructure, in no way, shape, or form hitting anything but civilian infrastructure. The Iranians are yet to do any significant damage to Israel's military capability. It's only civilians that are being hit. What does it do? Yes, it obviously takes a big toll on the civilians in Israel. Civilians in Israel don't want to be running to bomb shelters every 5 minutes. They don't want to be living underground, which they essentially have been living in bomb shelters for the last week plus. But it doesn't stop the army, which is the your main issue. And you're just terrorizing civilians, which is what Iran, the Islamic regime of Iran, is good at doing. This is coming from Hillel Fuld. Oh, this is hilarious. He meant to recognize the state of Palestine, but that's not what came out at once. God sure has a sense of humor. Let's check it out.
Short and simple, immediate answer. Recognise the state of Israel. I would have hoped that today Australia, Canada, New Zealand and the United Kingdom had joined its partner statement maker, Norway, in announcing recognition of the state of Israel. And I would have hoped that France would do the same. It said that recognising Israel rewards Hamas terrorism. The opposite... Sorry? I'm sorry.
Yes, these are the people we're supposed to be listening to, ladies and gentlemen. These are the people we're supposed to be listening to, who are supposed to be taking our information from international relations on, and I'm sure there's so much insight that we can gain from them. Tavi Robinson King on Twitter said, Palestine Action protesters broke into RAF Bryce Norton last night, riding in on their e-scooters armed with paint so they could deface refueling planes. The 2 planes they sabotaged were only involved in counter-ISIS operations in Iraq and Syria. Palestine Action said, despite publicly condemning the Israeli government, Britain continues to send military cargo, fly spy planes over Gaza, and refuel U.S./Israeli fighter jets. Britain isn't just complicit, it's an active participant in the Gaza genocide and war crimes across the Middle East. By decommissioning 2 military planes, Palestine Action have directly intervened to break the chains of oppression. Yes, by throwing paint on planes. Decommission. Oh, I see. You painted the jet of the airplane. gonna lie, this is like a pretty pussy ass way to decommission a plane. First of all, I'm not sure if does paying to decommission a plane, or like I mean, if you're gonna be a terrorist, go full terrorist, right? Like I don't want to give ideas because that'll probably incriminate me. But if you're gonna be, this just seems like you're just trying to get views on Instagram. Does paint decommission a plane? I'm pretty sure they can just clean it out. I don't know if this decommissions a plane, so maybe you'll delay him a little bit, but it's not going to stop him. I don't really understand the fucking logic, but then again, this never makes any logic. Here's Libs of Chicago. A group of leftists are starving themselves until a conflict happening 6,000 miles away stops happening. Thoughts this was important for some reason, regardless of your stance on Gaza-Israel topic. This is just theater.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
My name is Ash
Cynthia.
Borer, and I am launching an indefinite hunger strike until the people of Gaza are able to eat. I come to you
They're
today
eating. They're fat.
as a professor of peace studies, as a Jewish person, and as an American who can no longer watch the devastating images of starvation and bombing coming
No
out
one's
of
starving.
Gaza.
You haven't seen any starving images.
My Jewish values dictate to me that every life is precious.
Yeah.
And what we are witnessing
Except for Jews.
at this moment is a humanitarian crisis of epic proportion,
It's not.
in which the Israeli military, backed with the political power and the arms from the United States, is carrying out a genocide.
Okay.
That genocide in
Everything's a genocide
morning,
and everyone's
everyone.
dying, and it's the worst. It's the worst human rights violation in the history of planet Earth, except for the fact we'll just put on the side that the Gazan population has increased somewhat 60,000 people since the beginning of the supposed genocide, and they're fat as can be, and then there's tons of food coming into the strip, and Greta Flotilla Demons eating sandwiches in the Mediterranean Ocean, in the Mediterranean Sea. I don't even know how to respond anymore. There's just so much bullshit coming out. We do have Dave Smith, of course, the most important voice on the matter, really. I mean, Dave Smith is an expert on the Middle East and Israel, and it's just like I never understood how Destiny became like the spokesperson for Israel in the beginning of the war, and now nobody cares about him. I don't know how Dave Smith became. It's just really frustrating to watch. I'm like, here's two non-Israelis, non-Jews, non-Muslims, totally uninvolved in the conflict. Just, when will a person like me get a platform? I'm just wondering if a person like me deserves to get a platform to talk about this shit that affects my life and has affected my family's life for the last 3 generations, or I'm just wondering. I'm wondering when. I have almost 500,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. We bring in like 10 million views a month. Is there a point where a person like me gets a platform, or is it never a thing?
On October the 8th, an Iranian proxy, Hezbollah, began to fire rockets into Israel. Then the Houthis, another Iranian proxy, began to attack shipping and also Israel. Right? Now, what has happened since then is Israel has eliminated those threats I was going to say deballed, but decapitated Hezbollah. They dealt with the threat of Hamas, and they are now in a position to deal with the threat they've always been concerned about. Now, why is Israel so concerned about this? Well, first of all, Iran has been saying for a very long time, they don't want regime change in Israel. They want the state of Israel not to exist. Now, think about the fact that in the post-October 7 world, they cannot take the risk that they're only enriching uranium to 60% because they want to threaten to have nuclear weapons. That is not something they can do. And by the way, Piers, there's something that people don't seem to understand about. We struggle in the West. I really do think we all struggle in the West to understand the fundamentalist mindset. And let me give you an example of what the regime in Iran is like so that we can all understand what the threat here is. After the Islamic Revolution happened in Iran in 79, the war broke out between Iran and Iraq. And in that war, Iran was at a disadvantage. It was militarily backward. It wasn't financially able to deal with that. And you know what they did? They attempted to mitigate that by recruiting as many child soldiers as they could. We don't know how many because they didn't bother to count, but it's hundreds of thousands. And because some of them were too young and too weak to fight, they didn't send them to the front line. They sent them to sweep minefields with their own bodies. That is what this regime does. Now, if those people are willing to do that to their own children, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. What do you think they would do to the children of their enemies if they get a nuclear weapon, or if they get close to, or if they're allowed to continue funding proxies around the Middle East in order to attack Israel, as they've already done?
And Dave Smith will chime in with, I'm positive, the most eloquent conversation we could ever possibly imagine. But we'll hold that off for another video, so make sure you keep watching, because it'll probably be the next video coming out of the channel. Please support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's your little update. We're hoping for more peace and quiet here. Shabbat shalom, ladies and gentlemen. I love you a long time. Goodbye.
If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.